Being bandmates with your siblings sounds like it could be the best thing in the world, but in reality, it could be an absolute nightmare. While their chemistry outwardly looked pleasant during their time in the Jackson 5, these performing brothers soon developed a sibling rivalry that became especially fierce years after the group's Motown heyday. That rivalry being between Michael Jackson and his older brother Jermaine. All united and standing strong. Having experienced a series of commercial failures in recent years, it was clear to Jermaine that his music career was yet again on the decline, and that he seriously needed to shake things up in order to get back on track. Knowing that another chart flop could essentially kill off his already fragile pop star status, Jermaine took his time, for the very first time in his career in fact, to create a record he was truly proud of. Carefully selecting songs and working with a series of talented producers, the project took 3 years in total, and its results, he believed, were some of his best work. However, for it to be heard by the masses, Jermaine knew that he needed to generate public excitement for his music before it could be released. One way to do that was to unite with his brothers once again, in order to recapture the white heat of fame and publicity Jermaine experienced on the Victory Tour 5 years earlier. But the question remained, would his brothers want to record again? Younger brother Marlon passed on the project. Instead, he reportedly wanted to focus on his solo career. And to no one's surprise, Michael declined also. Having distanced himself from his family, in recent years he instead focused on his own music output, having released Bad in 1987. Michael then embarked on one of the most ambitious solo tours in music history. By the late 1980s, the gloved one had his mind set on quitting music altogether to focus his energies on a movie career. This leaving the group's remaining members Jackie, Tito, Randy, and Jermaine left to continue the group's legacy. While recording, the brothers were inspired by a whole new generation of black artists ascending in popularity. With the Billboard Hot 100 awash with the rhythms of hip-hop, R&B, and New Jack Swing, pioneered by the likes of Keith Sweat, Bobby Brown, Johnny Kemp, and their very own sister, Janet. Some industry pundits speculated that the Jacksons were nothing without their moonwalking brother. However, this was the group's chance to silence those skeptics. Quote, "You just know when something feels right, and this album feels natural to us," Jermaine Jackson said. Quote, "It took a lot of hard work, but we know this is a winner." Nabbing L.A. Reid and Babyface, the hot as blaze production team behind recent hits from Bobby Brown, Sheena Easton, Paula Abdul, and Karen White, Jermaine and his brothers hoped this would guarantee them chart success. The first single, Nothing That Compares to You, was a quintessential LA Babyface number. A good, solid dance tune applying a similar winning formula the producers used on other artists. Attracting a positive response, the single received playlist ads from 84% of black radio within the first week of its release. However, the newly reformed Jacksons still had an uphill battle when it came to the image the public were left with after their controversial tour in 1984. Spawning headlines of family infighting, dodgy dealings, and cash grab business practices, the brothers were generally considered as desperate opportunists spoiled by the trappings of Hollywood. Jermaine wanted to switch focus and take things way back. Before fame, money, and success had become signifiers of the last name Jackson. Instead of head-to-toe sequins and space-age costumes, on the album artwork the brothers were dressed casually, donning dark shades. 2300 Jackson Street sought to chronicle the group's modest origins. Jermaine stating, quote, "It has no glitter, which is what a lot of the public perceives of the Jacksons. They think we're pretty much out of reach, but on this album we took it back to the street." Their follow-up single and title track for the album referred to where it all began, their modest family home back in Gary, Indiana. 2300 Jackson Street contrasted from the brothers' recently established New Jack Swing edge, with its candy-coated melody and Hallmark card lyrics celebrating family unity. Written by the four brothers, plus Gene Griffin and Aaron Holt, siblings Michael, Janet, Marlon, and Reby made guest appearances, as did 16 nieces and nephews. Said to be Jermaine Jackson's proudest moment on the LP, he proclaimed, quote, "We're very excited about it. It tells the story of how my mother and father brought us into this world and nurtured us with a kid of love and affection." Its video and production embodying family values that hadn't been in vogue since Father Knows Best. Jermaine went on to say, quote, "I think we expect a certain level of excellence from the Jacksons. We want much more from a song. We do what we've been put here to do, make good music." With lyrical statements like, "We're all united and standing strong, and still today, we're one big family," the track was the family's answer to critics and constant speculation of feuding within the showbiz dynasty. Quote, "We want to set the record straight," said the then 35-year-old sibling. Quote, "We haven't forgotten family." However, the track that stood for family unity was missing one crucial and increasingly outspoken member, the Jacksons' middle sister, LaToya, whose Playboy pictorial and upcoming bare-all autobiography have been dominating tabloid headlines with rumors of a deeper rift than what the Jacksons would have liked to let on. Despite the Jackson family going all hands on deck to ensure chart success, the single 2300 Jackson Street failed to cross over into the Billboard Hot 100. The album itself didn't fare much better, eventually peaking at number 59 on the Billboard 200. Overall, critics considered their latest musical output as a vast improvement when compared to Victory, but it still didn't meet the hype. One newspaper reviewer commenting, quote, "2300 Jackson Street shines occasionally but suffers from too much mediocrity and from too high expectations for a group that once, a long time ago, gave us unparalleled greatness." The general consensus was that although it was natural for artists to diversify their sound, the four remaining Jacksons mostly just sang and left the rest to outsiders, resulting in a record that showcases its production more than any unique edge from the talent itself. Quote, "The singing is pleasant, the playing is crisp, the beat generally up, the results forgettable." The bitter with the sweet. Despite a disappointing response for the Jacksons' comeback record, Jermaine soldiered on, releasing his 12th solo album, Don't Take It Personal. Ironically, however, its lead single, the slow-moving title track, was believed to be very revealing as his first release since his contentious divorce with Hazel Gordy. A possible message to his ex-wife, the song was about a man giving a female the brush-off, although Jermaine disputed this claim. Quote, "I think I'm singing about somebody else's situation in that song." However, this speculation didn't hurt the single's chances, giving Jermaine his second #1 on Billboard's Black Singles chart, with Don't Take It Personal topping the chart 12 weeks after its release. Quote, "I think it shows an adult side of me," the 35-year-old father of 5 said when talking about his long-awaited album, suggesting that Jermaine believed that he still hadn't grown up in the public's mind after a dozen albums and 20 years since his breakout hits with the Jackson 5. Quote, "I want to be accepted as a great singer, but one who has never lost the common touch," he said. Quote, "And I want to be judged on my own merits. Michael wanted to be the biggest star in the world. I don't want to be the biggest star. That's not most important to me." However, it wasn't just brother Michael that was at risk of overshadowing Jermaine's music career, but now his baby sister too, with Don't Take It Personal being released around the time of Janet's much-anticipated record Rhythm Nation 1814. Those reporting on the releases naturally speculated on the siblings' varying levels of success. Dave Obey from the Calgary Herald weighing in, quote, "Little brother Michael is a superstar and little sister Janet is rising fast, but Jermaine Jackson has never made much of an impression. This album has 10 good reasons why. It's no different than his others, which means it should be in the discount bins by Easter." When questioned, Jermaine weighed in on his little sister's rise to stardom. Quote, "Janet's with the young kids. She's very sassy, and it works for her." He went on to say, quote, "But I need to see where my own strengths are and work towards that. Ballads have always worked well for me because I get a chance to really put my heart into it. Called an album full of sappy love songs that aren't particularly good." The record's lead single and its subsequent releases failed to cross over into the mainstream, making Don't Take It Personal Jermaine's lowest Billboard charting album in over a decade at number 115. His touring career wasn't faring well neither, after a series of UK solo performances had to be cancelled in the spring of 1990 when ticket sales for venues with a capacity of 2,000 didn't even get into 3 figures. If you enjoyed this, then check out other Jackson family dynamics we've documented in previous videos. Links are in the description box below. Subscribe for part 5 as we uncover how Jermaine's relationship with Michael deteriorated and what led up to his Word the Bad diss track.